Another busy day in the NHL is unfolding, and that means it's time for the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast and all the impacts to your fantasy team, plus big time bets. Let's get right to it. Thank you for joining us.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back inside the lab, everybody, to your source for fantasy hockey news. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, Thursday edition. My goodness, Steele, this is a wild and fast and furious time of news. And honestly, if you can keep your finger on the pulse and make the right moves, or maybe hold off on the right moves with your team right now, it's not only going to put you up for success this year, but upcoming years if you're in Keeper and Dynasty. Lots to get to on today's episode, my friends. So thank you for making us your first listen every single day. We have, of course, end of the show, big time bets, both picking up steam again, Steele. But the meat and potatoes again, trade deadline news across the league. Jonathan Quick, oh my goodness, this is a spicy story. Columbus picks up Quick, moves Korpisalo. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this Filip Hronek trade to the Vancouver Canucks. Shayne Gostisbehere going to the Carolina Hurricanes. Lars Eller, a quiet little move here by the Colorado Avalanche. I want your opinion on that. We got big news for Dylan Larkin. My goodness me. Lots to talk about. Let's get right to it. Where do you want to start? We want to start with this John Quick news.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest news of the day. Obviously, a crazy day 2 days ago where it just seemed like trades were coming in left, right, and center every single minute. Another big trade was being announced, and this morning it wasn't like that. I woke up this morning, it seemed kind of dead silent out there, and then the trade started rolling in one after another. The one that kind of started it all off was the Jonathan Quick trade to the Columbus Blue Jackets. LA Kings get Vladislav, Gavrikov, and Jonas Korpisalo from the Blue Jackets, and the Blue Jackets get Jonathan Quick, a conditional 2023 first-round pick, which becomes a second-round pick if the Kings don't make the playoffs, which that probably doesn't happen. So it's a first-round pick and a 2024 third-round pick on top of that. This is a great move for the LA Kings. Obviously not a great move for Jonathan Quick, as he feels like he's at the short. He picked the short straw on this trade, and rumors coming out that he's not happy at all. I wouldn't be happy whatsoever going to a team that's dead last in the league as well. And again, more rumors are coming out that it's potential that he's going to get moved again before the NHL trade deadline. I know the Vegas Golden Knights are one of those teams that it could be possible they go after a goalie as well. But overall, great trade for the LA Kings. They get a left shot defenseman rostered at 1% right now, Gavrikov on Yahoo Fantasy League. So maybe take a look at Gavrikov on rosters in your fantasy league. If you need help on the blue line, he's going to jump in. And again, not a guy that is overly aggressive offensively, but the peripheral stats are there. Jonas Korpisalo, I think that number one starting position is up for grabs. He's rostered at 28% right now. I'm actually considering right now taking a look and considering picking up Korpisalo, because I don't think Phoenix Copley is that confident. I don't think he's that comfortable. And Korpisalo has been playing pretty great for a very bad team right now. So I really like the trade from the LA Kings standpoint.
I think the LA Kings team was already good enough to make noise. That West is wide open. We've said that before, and it's just a fact. It's up for grabs. And you made a really good point the other day of mentioning if there was one team you're going to wager on, it might be the Colorado Avalanche. And after that, I'm not really scared of any team. A lot of teams, maybe the Edmonton Oilers on their best day, but they have a lot of holes as well, Steele. Maybe they're making more moves. But I'm with you with this trade for the LA Kings for sure. And most importantly, the value for Jonas Korpisalo, 11-11-3 this year, 3.17 goals against. Okay, not the greatest, but perhaps the most indicative of how good I think this goalie is. 911 save percentage on the Columbus Blue Jackets, who give up a lot of shots and a lot of goals. Korpisalo has a big opportunity here to not only take the grease, but to make a name for himself in a much bigger market and with a much better team who has playoff aspirations. And why not? Pretty balanced up and down the lineup. And I like the Gavrikov ad. Maybe not so much fantasy right off the bat until we see where he slots in. Maybe he gets some second power play time. Then it could get spicy. But I'm saying Korpisalo 5% in ESPN. if you need a little goaltending insurance, I'd already be adding Korpisalo right now, Steele. That's for sure.
Yeah, and again, that's why I'm actually considering it, because I need help in the goalie department right now, and with the LA Kings and how, again, just getting wins by themselves. We always know that they're in some high scoring games. But again, if you look back to a few years ago when Korpisalo and the Columbus Blue Jackets were even in the postseason and back in that regular season, he was at the peak, not the peak, but he was at the top of his career at the time. He was playing such great hockey, the mobility, the edge work to get across the crease so fast. Again, the athleticism on Korpisalo, and then him and Merzlikins over time have been going back and forth, battling it out. So he gets a fresh start with the LA Kings. He, again, a little bit of a goalie battle between Copley and Korpisalo now, but I think Korpisalo is the better goaltender. I think the Kings will run with him come postseason time.
Far and away agree with you, Phoenix. Copley is a veteran journeyman who is a solid backup goaltender, but Korpisalo has number one caliber. John Quick, just very quickly, done a little bit dirty, and it would be nice to see him go, look, numbers not good this year, and he's not the same goaltender that he was, but maybe he just needs a change of scenery and to a better team than Columbus. Look, you mentioned it. This man was pivotal in bringing the two cups to the city of Los Angeles, and just the way it's all gone down, you don't like to see it for a veteran. 37 years old, 11-13-1 this year, Steele, 876 save percentage, and a 3.50 goals against. Hasn't been good, but I love this trade for LA, and most importantly, fantasy-wise, Korpisalo ready to go on to the Carolina Hurricanes, who make their move, Steele. And now the Puljujarvi move could sneak under the radar if it pans out. This almost feels very Carolina Hurricanes. They're going about things a little bit differently, but this is one that I agree, especially for the third-round pick price that they paid. This could be huge for a team that's already very balanced and good defensively. Now a little offensive wrinkle to that blue line unit.
That's the first thing I wanted to say, that this makes up for that Jesse Puljujarvi trade in my mind. This is a great trade for the Carolina Hurricanes, getting an offensive-minded D-man for a 2026 third-round pick. Like, that is 4 years down the line. It doesn't really matter for the Hurricanes because they've got their team right now. So I love the move. They get an offensive-minded D-man who could potentially join the first or second power play. I think he'll probably be on the second power play to help them going as well. But this is just a good move because we already know that they're a great goaltending team. They got great goaltending from Anderson and Raanta, and then even Kochetkov, who could come up at some point in the next year as well. Looking at their roster and their lineup, they needed to make this move. They needed a little bit more of an offensive-minded person that can still get it done defensively as well. Obviously Brent Burns is getting it done, but I love all their D-men, Brett Pesce, Brady Shea, all those guys on the blue line. I love them. But when you talk about a guy who can facilitate offensively, move the puck, has goal scoring in a wicked shot from the blue line, Shayne Gostisbehere is your guy. And the fact, again, that it's a 2026 third-round pick, like that's 4 years down the line. It doesn't matter whatsoever. Hurricanes want to win now. And again, it makes up for that brutal Jesse Puljujarvi trade that they did a couple days ago.
Yeah, I'm with you on the take of, like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to Puljujarvi move, but maybe just this fresh start that everyone's been talking about. I'm just not ready to fully give up on him yet because of just, you know what? He has been so disappointing, and he's been giving all the opportunities to play with amazing players and hasn't done anything with it. So I'm with you still. There really isn't anything on the ice that I'm seeing this for other than he's just a prototypical power forward. He's got the size and the skill. He's just never done anything with it. So I'm with you on that side of things. Gostisbehere, I think now might have this opportunity to have some fun in this Carolina blue line and really be that offensive guy that you just mentioned when you have the Pesces, the Slavins of the world to really anchor the back end. He can go out and do his thing offensively, something that we've seen him do over the last couple of years on a really bad Arizona Coyotes team. 10 goals, 21 assists, not as good as his 50 plus points. 51 a season before. 51 still very solid. Still very solid. And I think 115 shots, over 22 minutes of ice time, his value definitely goes up offensively, but his opportunity might be dialed back a slight bit. But I think, Steele, again, what's he at here? 78% in ESPN. You might just want to be keeping an eye because if he catches fire and you need some blue line help, I'd be going sniffing around the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, 38% also on rostered on Yahoo as well. So again, if you need some help on the blue line, he's
There you
definitely
go.
out there in Yahoo fantasy
Yep.
leagues. Uh, and again, all things considered, when he was getting it done with an Arizona Coyotes team that was very limited with skill up front, now he
Right.
goes to the Hurricanes and he can help them on both ends of the ice. Obviously more offensive minded than defensive because they're already such a great defensive team, but 38% rostered. I'm giving a look at him as well. If definitely checking the Carolina Hurricanes upcoming schedules, how many games they're going to be playing the upcoming weeks as well. So Gostisbehere 38% rostered on Yahoo.
A very interesting differencing in numbers there from ESPN to Yahoo. We're going
Yeah.
to talk about Filip Hronek. We're going to talk about Lars Eller. I think a little sneaky move there from the Colorado Avalanche. We'll talk
Yes.
about that. And Dylan Larkin gets the bag in Detroit. Of course, big time bets on our locks of the night coming up, where you might want to go check out to make those bets, though. It's FanDuel. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the midway point of the NBA season, and it's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet for $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your bet doesn't hit. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use, and you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers to threes drained. I've said it before. I love betting on the first to 20 market, even the first to 10. Get a little degenerate. Bet on the tip. Parlay it all together with a same game parlay. That is the bigger chance to combine your bets for a bigger payout with FanDuel. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet for up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platforms, including YouTube. So hit the sub button, hit the follow button. We appreciate it. And make sure you're tuned in for the NHL trade deadline. That is this Friday, March 3rd. Join us live on the Locked On NHL YouTube channel from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time as Locked On NHL hosts break down the biggest deals from across the NHL. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Flip, again, few more trades. We're going to get to big time bets at the end of the episode. I do want to start off with, if you don't mind, the Washington Capitals and Colorado Avalanche trade for Lars Eller. Washington Capitals get a 2025 second round pick. They also retain 31%, I believe, of Lars Eller's contract. And the Avalanche get Lars Eller. To me, I like this trade for the Avalanche. I think, to me, the first thing that comes to mind is that they're showing a ton of faith in JT Compher's ability to be that second line centerman. 41 points on the season. He's been durable this season, right behind Mikko Rantanen, 49% in the faceoff circle. And obviously, when you look back, a month ago, and the rumors around Jonathan Toews, and that was the guy that the Avalanche were headed after for the trade deadline. Obviously, they can't now because he's removed himself with the, with his illness right now. But they were going after Jonathan Toews to be that guy in the faceoff circle. 63% win in the faceoff circle for Jonathan Toews this season. The Avalanche don't have anyone that is over 50% this year. So they needed help in the faceoff circle. Eller is at 55% right now. And again, it just shows a ton of faith that they believe in JT Compher to be that second line center. Lars Eller shifts down to the third line center. And again, when you look at all the guys that were already traded, they missed out on Bo Horvat. They missed out on Vladimir Tarasenko. They missed out on Patrick Kane. They, obviously it wasn't rumored that they were going to, but they missed out on all of these top guys.
I hear you.
So this is the guy that they have to go after, Lars Eller, to help on the, third line centerman. And even down the road, when they're able to get the guys that are on injured reserve, they get Landeskog back, they get Josh Manson back, they get guys that are injured right now, the team is still set up for success. You got Mikko Rantanen, you got Nathan McKinnon, you got Valeri Nichushkin, Arturi Lehkonen. They've got a boatload of guys, Cale Makar on the blue line, so the team is still great right now. I think this was just a move to kind of solidify who their second and third line centermen were going to be.
Manson has been back, but I'm with you. And you know what? When you look at what Lars Eller has done in his career, Steele, in the postseason, is where I'm most intrigued about this move for the Colorado Avalanche, and it's a very sneaky one by a front office that has done a lot of really good things over the last couple of years. So I actually trust in it, and I mean it when I say Lars Eller has performed in the playoffs. About 49 career points in 95 career playoff games, and winning faceoffs in the playoffs over the last 3 years at over 51%, and sitting at 50% for his career in the postseason. So I think this is a very strategic move by the Colorado Avalanche for the postseason. It looks like you have something on the come up.
I do, Flip. I do. Monster trade. Breaking news. Ottawa Senators land Jakob Chychrun from the Arizona Coyotes.
Whoa.
Absolutely incredible. I'm going to try to list off the exact move here. Ottawa Senators acquire Jakob Chychrun from the Arizona Coyotes, and heading back to the Coyotes, a 2023 conditional first-round pick, conditional second-round pick in 2024, and a 2026 second-round pick.
So 3 picks.
I'm not sure if that is final. 3 picks headed back to the Arizona Coyotes. Wow. I'm not sure if that's the official deal. That's what I'm just seeing right now on my phone, but absolutely boss move from Pierre Dorion. We're going to have to get the Locked On Senators guys back on here to talk about that trade.
I think so.
Wow. This team is loaded. Look, if the Ottawa Senators can have the craziest end of the remainder of the season, they could be in the playoffs.
They're 5 points back right now, Steele, of that second wild card spot, 5 points back of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I could see it for sure. Why not? The only teams in between them and there is Buffalo and Florida. They're good enough to definitely make up that ground. 60 games played, so they don't have a ton of game in hand. Actually, none on Pittsburgh, but 4 on the Islanders. So, hey,
they're still in it. They're in the race.
This season, Steele, has been funky for this team, and a big reason, obviously, has been injuries to key pieces. So it would be interesting to see what this point total is right now. If they have Josh Norris the whole year, if they don't lose Anton Forsberg and Cam Talbot, both for multiple weeks, both of them. But hey, swinging for the fences. The Sens have also won 3 in a row. They have showed Pierre Dorion over the last week that they still have it in them, and you and I have talked oh my goodness, at length about what we like about the top 6, even the top 9 in Ottawa who have been clicking. Jakob Chychrun now has an opportunity and adds into a blue line with 2 guys that we already really like in Jake Sanderson and Thomas Chabot, and Artem Zub, actually, if you want to throw him in the mix too, forming a very nice top 4 for the Ottawa Senators.
Chychrun is one of those guys that I was very wary about when we were doing our fantasy drafts of when I should take him, what round was appropriate to go and draft him.
Next year, I'm all over him.
Next year, I am all over Thomas Chabot and Jakob Chychrun for next season. This Ottawa Senators team is looking so good right now. I think, again, there's still a couple of pieces they can probably address. Maybe goaltending, obviously, with Cam Talbot being a little bit older. Anton Forsberg, is he that next guy? But this team overall, the top 6.
I'm trying to process this right now.
I'm trying to process this right now. This is an unbelievable trade for the Ottawa Senators. They, again, like you look at their team, the top 6, they get Josh Norris back. This team looks unbelievable on paper right now, even with the bottom 6 and bottom 4 deep pairing. I'm going to be watching almost every single Ottawa Senators game for the rest of the year, which I don't usually do, but I'm going to have to for this season.
If they sneak into the 8th spot and take out the Boston Bruins in the first round, I'm just
spitballing here.
I'm spitballing. I'm just saying, if you're the Boston Bruins or any team, I don't want a piece of a young upstart Ottawa Senators team that's now growing in confidence and can score goals with the best of them. Now you bring in a big boy on the back end with a big shot. I don't know, Steele. That's a tough team to go through.
And the Ottawa Senators have played great against the Boston Bruins this year. I don't know their exact record off the top of my head, but they have played great against the Boston Bruins this year. I absolutely love this trade. I love when we get breaking news during our episodes.
I can see it on your face. And by the way, if you can't see Steele's face, make sure you go out there and you smash that subscribe button on YouTube. But you know Steele's got us covered on that front anyway.
I got you guys out there. I got our listeners.
and Filip Hronek. We should just throw that out there quickly as well, or what?
We'll get to that after the break. We're going to get to big time bets. We'll talk about that. We'll wrap it up with the last trade of the day. But yeah, absolutely crazy trade. Also get to our sponsor. This episode is also brought to you by Indeed. No matter how the last game went, anytime you take the field, you've got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best shot at winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And it's the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for the quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. One of the things that I love about Indeed is that Instant Match. With Instant Match, over 90% of employers get quality candidates as soon as they sponsor their job posts, according to Indeed data. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/locked-on. Offers valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/locked-on to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. We appreciate all of our listeners out there. Make sure you hit the sub button, hit the follow button. You'll get all the latest content Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. Flip. I'm still mind-boggled by that Jakob Chychrun trade. I'm trying to get back on topic here. It makes sense, man. Like, it needed to get done. Look, that was the team.
Thank goodness we can move on from all of this speculation, though, because I'm tired of talking about. We've been talking about Jakob Chychrun on the move for over a year now. Seriously,
that's what I was just about to say. Is that the Ottawa Senators were that front-running team that were supposed to land him, but
from the get-go. Good point.
Ways with Shayne Pinto. Finally able to get a deal done. They send, a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. I thought the Arizona Coyotes would get a little bit more. So overall, this is a great trade for the Ottawa Senators. I don't think, obviously, you get rid of a first and a second-round pick, but they've got the boys right now. They've got Tkachuk. They've got DeBrincat. They've got Chychrun now. They've got Chabot, Giroux, Norris, Batherson, Stützle. Like, the team is absolutely stacked right now. Again, a few things to address. Let's get to the Detroit Red Wings trade. Red Wings, excuse me for that. Trade a Filip Hronek and a 2023 4th-round pick to the Vancouver Canucks. And the Red Wings get, in return, a conditional 2023 first-round pick and a second-round pick. I honestly don't even know what I think about this trade, so I'll throw it over to you. What are your initial thoughts once you saw that?
My first thought was, when's the corresponding move packaging Hronek with one of these pieces that have been floating around for a number of weeks now? I'm talking JT Miller. I'm talking Brock Besser. I'm talking some of those pieces that the Vancouver Canucks were supposed to be moving on from. I think they will. That was my take, Steele. But maybe this is one of those situations where a front office says they need full surgery, says that this team needs operation, and what they're going to do is try at the same time salvage a little bit of the near future with a player steal, in my opinion, in Hronek. That's really good and having a very solid season with 9 goals, 29 assists. I think it's something like 16 power play points, 97 hits, 54 block shots. To me, a very good fantasy banger league D-men. And my last take is, if they don't move on from him, he's the kind of player that this team needs to play good defensive brand of hockey, and he brings a little offensive upside as well, because really, you and I know that blue line has been a mess now for a couple of years, and this is a good player that you can anchor yourself around over the next couple of years if they decide to do that. But honestly, I think he's packaged with something and moved on.
No, completely agree. I think Hronek is very underrated in the sense that I think he gets overlooked a lot. to be honest, I kind of
Me
like
too.
this trade for both teams. Red Wings
Yeah.
get 2 picks back. The Vancouver
Yep.
Canucks get I didn't even know Hronek was only 25. He's only 25. So Quinn Hughes gets
Yep.
another puck moving defenseman that he can actually play with instead of Luke Schenn. Like, I like Luke
Good
Schenn,
point.
but he's
Good
not the
point.
guy to be playing with Quinn Hughes on the blue line. So they get a puck moving defenseman that can work on the power play, the second power play, or even the first if they need it. Looking at the trade back now with Bo Horvat, they get younger. They get Anthony Beauvillier. They get Atu Ratsu.
He's played great.
Beauvillier's playing really great for the Canucks right now. So they get younger up front. They get younger on the blue line. Quinn Hughes is probably a little happier that he's getting a guy that he can play with potentially. And yeah, very underrated defenseman. He's only 25, consistent. He's a consistent 30 to 40 point player every year. He's still not in his prime right now. So I think over the next couple of years, we can even see him get up to 45, even 55 points if he continues on this pace. Puts the puck on net. He blocks a little bit. He hits more than he blocks. So those peripheral stats are still something you can depend on for a guy like Filip Hronek. So I like the trade for both teams.
Me too. And I think that you should just keep your eye on how they deploy Hronek over the next couple of weeks, because if he was getting it done, having to really shoulder a lot of, defensive load in Detroit and still putting up those points. I know the Red Wings have offensive well, but if he gets to play with Quinn Hughes or Elias Pettersson over the next stretch of games, he might see a nice little bump in peripheral assists as well, Steele. All of these minute situations, opportunities for you to capitalize and just even get a couple of games extra points is where all of the winners in leagues that I've been in over the last 15 years usually make that money, Steele. So you got to keep it tapped to the podcast and keep your finger on the pulse. I'm ready for bets if you are, pal. Let's go.
I am extremely ready for bets. And talking about the Canucks, why don't we start there? First pick of the night, I am taking the Wild on the puck line against the Vancouver Canucks. Okay. I was at the last game against the Canucks and the Wild. Wild won 3-0. I think it's going to be a little bit of a higher scoring game than 3-0. But nonetheless, I think the Wild take this win with more than 2 goals or more than one. Yeah, more than 2 goals to spare. So Wild puck line, my first pick. And if you don't mind, I'll just rattle all 3. Kings on the puck line,
of course,
for my second pick against the Montreal Canadiens. They're scoring goals at will. I hope that Copley or whoever's in net, Copley or Korpisalo, can defend that cage real tight against the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to take the Kings on the puck line for my second pick and my lock of the night. Patrick Kane is not making his debut against the Philadelphia Flyers, but he is making his debut against the Ottawa Senators. I am taking the Rangers on the money line against the Senators. That is my lock of the night.
Rangers on the second half of a back-to-back and likely Jaroslav Halak in the cage. I'm going to stay away from that. And the other thing I'll say, I'm not going to stay away from betting on it, though, so I'll get to that. But I'm a little bit wary of the Los Angeles Kings locker room after what we have heard them being upset, in tears, pissed off about this quick trade. Are they a better team on the ice? For sure. I just would be wary about betting on them in general. Steel Puckline, you got some cojones tonight. I hear you, though. They're better now with Gavrikov and Korpisalo, but I'd be wary about them. There's just a lot going on and a lot of change for a guy who's been the face of the franchise other than Kopitar for a long time. Now I'm going to stop talking and talk about my bets. Jason Robertson is having one of the best seasons out there, 35-plus goals, 35 assists plus. He is also been in his career 12 games against the Chicago Blackhawks, the team they find themselves playing against on Thursday night. Steele, 9 goals, 6 assists in 12 career games. He also scored just this last week against Chicago. I'm going to parlay these same little 3-team parlay. Robertson, anytime point versus Chicago. That's pick number 1, unless you have an interjection on that bad boy.
No, I like the anytime point. I would probably stay away from the puck line or money line, because there's just no money to be made on the money line. And the Dallas Stars are just, again, they've been a very weird team lately.
Chicago beat them 4-3 last week.
Yeah, they also
Vancouver
lost 5.
Just beat them 5-4.
Yeah, like it's been a very weird last 2 weeks for the Dallas Stars. They lost 5-4 in overtime to the Vancouver Canucks. They squeak out a shootout win against Vegas. They lose 4-3 to the Blackhawks. They lose 4-1 to Columbus. They lose 2-1 to Minnesota. They lose 3-2. it's just been a weird last week and a half for the Dallas Stars. So
True.
I would definitely stay away from the money line because there's just no money to be made, and I wouldn't take it the puck line either because the last 7 games for them have been 1-goal games. So stay away from the money line, stay away from the puck line. But the anytime point from Robertson, I'm here for.
And honestly, Steele, 10-game board, I found it to be a very tricky one that looking at a lot of the finishes and totals, I wasn't super comfortable. That's why I have a player prop as well for my lock of the night, and I like parlaying them all together. And my second pick, Nashville at Florida, you know where I'm going with this. The total has gone over the number in 5 of Nashville's last 6 and has gone over the total in 13 of the last 17 games overall for the Florida Panthers. This just feels like an over. And honestly, Steele, at minus 123 right now, getting a very good price. I know Bobrovsky has been better. This just feels like a spot that could be 4-3, 5-4 the final. I really hope I don't get screwed by saying that and it's 2-1, but I'm liking it. Again, parlay all 3 of these together, people. And you mentioned the Ottawa Senators and this New York Rangers game. Tough second half of the back-to-back for the Rangers. Halak in the cage. No, I am not going to be betting against the Rangers at home after they just loaded up and Kane's making his debut. But I think this might be an interesting contest because the Senators have now just made their move as well. They're going to be fired up, and I like that anyway for my lock of the night. Brady Tkachuk. Anytime point. I was going to go goal, but again, I'm parlaying together. Don't mind taking that lower odd. He's looked really comfortable over his last couple of games. Goals in his last 2 games and a really good season, Steele. 63 points in 60 games, 250 shots, 6 game-winning goals in 80 penalty minutes. He's a beast. He's a banger league beauty, and he's my lock of the night for Thursday. I think Ottawa still gets theirs. Another high-scoring game between the Rangers and Ottawa Senators, I predict, one in which Tkachuk has a couple of points.
I can agree with that. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. There's too much talent around on both teams to not score more than 6 goals in the contest. So I like your picks. I like all 3 of mine. Let's parlay them, see what happens. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen game to game, every moment, every performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. And again, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.